Hi guys and welcome back to my channel. I'm Georgia and today I'm testing out the Revolution Conceal and Define Foundation in the shade F2 and the Conceal and Define Infinite Concealer in the shade C1. I do own quite a lot of Revolution products and I have over the years as well, and I do use both of these foundations quite regularly. Obviously I haven't for a while, for about 10 weeks or so now, so I can't quite really remember the finish on them or like the wearability, everything, so I wanted to kind of test them out for you today so you can see it too. On the Revolution website it's showing the Conceal and Define foundation is £9.99 and the Conceal and Hydrate foundation is £9 apparently, which are average prices or slightly less than average prices for drugstore foundations anyway, so it's kind of an expected price for these. So I've got two choices for the Revolution foundation. I've got the Conceal and Define and then the Conceal and Hydrate, both in the shade F2. I think today I'm going to go in with the Conceal and Define one, just because I've got the Conceal and Define concealer as well to be using, so I think it's a bit more matte, this one. With the Conceal and Define it is on the giant doe, but I think they have changed the packaging since, so I'm just going to take a bit and put it onto my face. I don't have too much of this one left, so if I do need to go into the other one I will use that as well. Obviously this one is quite handy for taking travelling and stuff, because you can do this and it doesn't make any mess. You don't have to put any on your like hands or anything. You don't have to pump it out and put it onto like the sponge or the brush so much, so it is slightly better travelling for that. Just blending it in with my Spectrum brush. I'm just going to go in and apply more. I haven't got too much left now, so it is kind of hard to get out of the packaging compared to if you had a pump or something, but even then sometimes it gets towards its end, doesn't it? I normally have quite oily skin, so this one is quite good for my skin, but today it's a little dry in places, just a bit patchy, and it is clinging to that slightly. I think it is because it is a slightly matte foundation that it will do that, compared to if I'd used the dewy one, whether it would have done the same thing with that or not. But otherwise it's given good coverage and it's a nice colour on me. This is one of the foundations I use normally. I do usually use the Revolution foundations. It's that one, and then I've got the Wet n Wild, the Maybelline 24 Hour Superstay, which I usually kind of alternate between. They're my favourite sort of ones. It's a nice colour, it gives good coverage. It's not too slippery or anything on my face. It's not really moving around too much on my face. I'd say it is a little bit like clinging onto some dry patches on my skin. Like I say, if I'd moisturised with quite a moisturising moisturiser before, then, or put a primer on, then it might have been fine. Or if I'd used the Conceal and Hydrate version, that might have been a bit better. But I do kind of vary between the two because obviously I've got kind of oily skin anyway. I can't quite remember how the other one works for oily skin, but I use it, so it must not be that bad for it. So, okay, then I'm just going in with the concealer. This is the Conceal and Define Infinite Concealer in the shade C1. This is actually my sister's shade and it is one shade lighter than what I usually use, but I don't think it makes that much difference. There's not much difference in the colour at all, because I used to use C1 and then went on to F2, and I think it's just the undertone is slightly different if anything. So this isn't too bad, and it hopefully isn't too light. Just take the tiny bit down my nose and up onto my forehead a bit there. It doesn't feel heavy or sticky or tacky under my eyes at all. Like I can't feel it, which you can't do with most concealers anyway, but sometimes you do. Like I know it was only one shade off, and probably this is my shade anyway. I kind of vary between the two depending. That's one of the things I find difficult as well, is trying to find like a highlighting shade or a contour and highlight shade for quite pale skin. But this is almost the lightest shade in the range. It's quite hard then to find a colour which will then you can use as a highlighter without being the white, because I bought that before and it just didn't really do the same thing for me personally anyway. I recently got the matte base powder from Revolution in the shade P1, and I just thought I'd use that to powder everything down. And I'm just using my Spectrum A05 brush. The Spectrum brushes are some of my favourite, and they're also pretty as well. I don't really know what brushes do what yet, but they're nice to collect. This is the foundation and concealer on. I've just powdered everything just to kind of keep it all matte and ready to put any other makeup on top of it. So the time is about 3:20 now, and I'm just going to leave it on. I'm going to do the rest of my makeup and then we'll come back later and we'll see how it gets on. Although this is one of my go-to foundations, I actually haven't worn this foundation in quite a while, so I can't quite remember how long it lasts and what it's like on my skin after a few hours, so I'll definitely be giving that a test just to see and then I'll report back. Okay, so I've just finished the rest of my makeup. Obviously I've got like bronzer, blush, highlight on and everything as well. But this is my foundation now. It is slightly like creasing under the eyes a bit, seeing as it was meant to be like a creaseless concealer, but I do kind of get that a lot anyway. Obviously I've been sat here, I've been putting stuff on my face and like powder with like the blush and the bronzer and stuff, but it doesn't look like it's too like oily or anything just yet. It still looks pretty matte, so that's kind of good. Although it didn't take me too long to do my makeup, I have been sat here for a kind of a longish sort of time. Okay, so it's nearly 11 o'clock at night, so I've had this on for about 8 hours, 7.5 hours sort of thing. It is obviously going to be shiny and oily and stuff. It doesn't look too bad, it doesn't feel too bad like on my face either. Like usually you can really feel it. It has kind of moved or removed itself from around my nose, like where I've just touched or like kind of rubbed my nose or something. And it has really like creased under my eyes. I think I'd still be okay with wearing this and feel comfortable in it wearing it. Obviously it doesn't necessarily look the best at the moment, but you could still pound that. I don't think it necessarily looks any worse since I put it on. Obviously it is oily in places and slightly shiny, but not to that extreme. I think what's let it down is probably the concealer for me. Like it's very like creased under the eyes, but the rest of my face hasn't really changed too much. Hopefully this video has helped you make some foundation choices or made you want to try the Revolution foundation. And they do have a lot of shades in their foundation ranges as well, which is really good for a drugstore brand. This makeup I've got on now is from a Revolution haul video they've just done. It's a Revolution haul and mystery goodie bag. If you want to see how I got this look, then click up in the cards here somewhere, I guess. Thank you. Thank you so much for watching and I'll see you again soon. Bye!